Notre Dame is mad. Notre Dame is like big mad. And because of that, Notre Dame's going to take their ball and go home. And they've put out a statement that they have decided to, as a team, opt out of a bowl opportunity. I understand that. And here's the thing. Here's the thing that sucks in this whole conversation. I think that the committee ultimately got it right. And at the same time, Notre Dame would beat half of this field. Both of those things can be true. And Notre Dame fans, like, you probably pissed at that sentiment, but it's true. You know, if you just go down the list. You just go down the list. Would they beat either of these group of 6 participants? Obviously, yes. Would they or should they beat Miami the way that they've looked during the course of the season, the way Miami has looked during the course of the season? Probably. Would they beat A&M? Probably. Would they beat Alabama? Probably. Would they beat Oklahoma? Probably. Would they beat Ole Miss? Probably. You get all the way up to like Oregon, Tech, Georgia, where you start to be like, oh yeah, that would be like close. I don't know. I don't know who would win that game. So Notre Dame would probably beat half the field. They're mad about it. So they're just going to take their ball and go home. I'm just telling you, this is not the way to go about it. Notre Dame, you are better than this. You are. Because one thing I know, and there's always, great coaches around the country, and Urban Meyer talked about this, and everybody says it in a different way, and you hear, different ways to say this and articulate this, I guess is the point. But it's kind of like an event happens, and then there's your response to the event, and then that's going to equal the outcome. So Urban used to talk about like E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals O, the outcome. And in this case, I feel like that applies because, I'm hesitating with using the word quit, but they're just going to like artificially end their season and not go to a bowl game. I think that's the wrong decision. And I think that decision was born out of an emotional reaction rather than a disciplined response. And those two things are very different. There's 3 primary reasons why I think Notre Dame is making a big mistake just opting out of a bowl game. Let me just start with the first one, and that is the competitive development for next season. In their statement, they said, like, as a team, and you just saw it on YouTube, we put it up. As a team, we've decided to opt out of a bowl game, and we look forward to bringing a championship back to South Bend in 2026, and then signed the 2025 Notre Dame football team. Well, okay. Well, if you want to win your 12th national title and bring it back to South Bend in 2026, you know what would be beneficial to you? The extra practices during bowl season. Like, how does just like throwing 15 practices to the wind and saying like, we don't need those. Don't worry. We don't need all those practices to develop young players that maybe didn't get a lot of playing time in this season. We don't need those to develop players that are going to need to play huge roles for filling shoes of players that are leaving. Like, hold on a second. Bowl practice is where you develop for the next season. So I don't understand how just saying like, no, we're done with that. How does that help you for next year? So that's number one, and that's just a competitive reason. Number 2, this does feel a little bit petty, to be honest with you. It feels like they're very mad at the other network for the show and the weekly rankings reveal, because that's ultimately what they're mad at. I mean, Bavakwa said it in his statement, which we just put up earlier in the show. So they're mad at the weekly ranking show. So they're like, well, we're not going to go play a bowl game on that network. All right, that feels a little bit like petty in my estimation. I think Notre Dame is above that. And again, there are competitive ramifications for next season in the development of your young players. So don't love that idea either. Then you look at this other idea, the third point. And this one's more just like from me to the players. You'll regret this. And I don't want you to regret this. If you ask anybody that competed at a high level through high school, through college, heck, through professional sports, and they're sitting there, maybe they're sitting in their home studio behind a microphone. Who knows? Who knows? Sake of argument. Maybe they're 43. Who knows? And you were to ask them, and I'm talking about anyone, by the way. You could play soccer, you could be a swimmer or diver, whatever it is. You ask someone that competed at a competitive level, high school, college, and you ask them later in life, like, would you like to do it one more time? They'd be like, yeah, man, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. I don't need to fix any wrongs. I don't have a ton of regrets about like my career, maybe other than getting knocked out against Texas and losing 70-3. But like, would I love to play one more time? Yeah, that would be awesome. I look back at that time with great fondness because I worked really hard as an individual for the team with a bunch of other individuals that I became very close to and are close to this day. And like to go out and compete with them one more time would be awesome. So don't artificially end your season. There are players on that roster at Notre Dame, and I'm talking to you guys right now, that will never play football again. And you are artificially putting the finish line in front of you. Don't do that. Don't do that. You have a finite number of times as an athlete to go and compete at the highest level. Like, take advantage of those opportunities. So that's just from like human to human. I think that those players will regret this decision. End on your terms, not their terms. This is an emotional response. You've got development in there. It looks petty, and you're going to regret it at some point. Go play. Go play. And I understand, like, some players will opt out and this and that, and they've got futures in the NFL. Some don't. Some don't. And, you're going to look up at some point, and you're not going to be an athlete. And you'll think to yourself, man, I wish I would have done that one more time. I wish I would have done that one more time with the guys that I love, that we worked really hard, and I wish that we would have finished on our terms. And by the way, like, I'm all for this like player empowerment era, and I've argued like I'm a fan of NIL. Obviously, we need guardrails and everything, but like we've needed player empowerment for a long time. Now, it's drastically swung too far. I do think we need to limit movement and little things. There needs to be guardrails. We all know that. We all know that. As a parent, when something happens to my boys that they deem to be unfair, I don't ask them what they want to do about it. I parent them. I'm the adult in the room. And so here's the thing. Marcus Freeman is a hell of a football coach. And they've got great leadership at Notre Dame. And great leaders paint a vision. And they're the ones that go out and they say, listen, I understand that this happened to us, but here's what our response is going to be, because this is the character and integrity of our team. And we're going to go out and we're going to finish on our terms. And to be honest, like, I'm surprised that that's not happening, because this man, Marcus Freeman, is an incredible football coach and leader of men. And he just put together one of the best recruiting classes that Notre Dame has had in a long time. And they're going to be good next year. And they'll be good the next year. And as long as Marcus Freeman stays in South Bend, they will be good. This is not in their character. It's not. It's not. And I wouldn't have asked the players what they wanted to do, because they feel hurt. They're young. What are they going to want to do? Like, respond emotionally. You don't want to respond with your emotions. You want to respond with your reason and logic. And therefore, I think Notre Dame should play a bowl game. But obviously, that seems to not be the case right now. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.